From samurai warriors to anime culture. From 200 years of total isolation to bombing Pearl Harbor. From 2 atomic bombs and complete devastation to the world's 3rd largest economy in just 40 years, an island nation that copied Chinese writing, then created its own unique culture. A country that banned all foreigners for centuries, then conquered half of Asia. A nation destroyed in 1945, rebuilt by 1964. This is Japan. 2,000 years of history. 15 minutes. Let's go. Ancient Japan. The Feudal Japan's story begins with geography. 4 main islands, Honshu, Hokkaido, Kyushu, and Shikoku isolated from mainland Asia. This isolation shaped everything. The mythical beginning. Japanese mythology claims the islands were created by divine beings, and the imperial family descends from the sun goddess Amaterasu. Emperor Emu supposedly founded Japan in 660 BCE. This is myth, but the imperial line has existed for at least 1,500 years. The world's oldest continuous monarchy. Early history. By 300 BCE, rice farming arrived from Korea and China. The Yayoi period saw organized agriculture, bronze and iron tools, and social hierarchy emerged. By 300 CE, the Yamato clan dominated, establishing early imperial power. But real authority would shift repeatedly throughout Japanese history. Chinese influence. Japan borrowed massively from China. Buddhism arrived in the 6th century. Chinese writing system adopted government. Structures copied art and architecture influenced, but Japan always adapted these imports, creating something uniquely Japanese. Nara and Heian periods 710-1185. The capital moved to Nara, then Kyoto, called Heian-kyo. This was Japan's classical age. Literature flourished. The tale of Genji, 11th century, is considered the world's first novel. Buddhism merged with native Shinto beliefs. Art and poetry thrived. The emperor ruled in theory, but powerful, aristocratic. Families held real power. The shift to warrior rule. By the 12th century, the aristocracy was weak. Real power transferred to warrior clans, the samurai. This would define Japan for 700 years. Samurai and shogunate. The samurai weren't just warriors. They became Japan's ruling class. The first shogunate, 1185. After the Genpei War, Minamoto no Yoritomo became the first shogun military dictator. The emperor remained as a symbolic figurehead in Kyoto, but the shogun held real power. This system would last until 1868, nearly 700 years. Feudal structure. Japan developed a strict feudal hierarchy. Emperor, divine figurehead, no real power. Shogun, military dictator, actual ruler. Daimyo, regional lords with land and armies. Samurai, warrior class serving the daimyo. Peasants, artisans, merchants, common people. Outcasts, lowest social class. Bushido, the way of the warrior. Samurai followed Bushido, a code emphasizing loyalty to lord above all, honor and courage, skill in martial arts, willingness to die rather than face dishonor. Seppuku, ritual suicide, was preferable to capture or shame. This warrior culture shaped Japanese values for centuries. The Mongol invasions, 1274 and 1281. Kublai Khan's Mongol Empire tried to invade Japan twice. Both times, massive typhoons destroyed the Mongol fleets. The Japanese called these storms kamikaze, divine wind, believing the gods protected Japan. The Sengoku period 1467-1615. Japan descended into 150 years of civil war. The shogunate weakened. Daimyo fought constantly. It was chaos, but also a period of cultural development, castle building, and tactical innovation. This era produced Japan's most famous warriors and strategists. It also marked the arrival of Europeans, which would change everything. European. Contact and isolation in 1543, Portuguese traders arrived by accident, shipwrecked on a Japanese island. They brought something revolutionary. Guns. The gun revolution. Within decades, Japan had more guns than anywhere in Europe. Firearms changed warfare, contributing to the reunification of Japan under 3 successive leaders. Oda Nobunaga, brutal warlord who used guns effectively. Hideyoshi, unified Japan. Attempted to invade Korea. Failed. Tokugawa Ieyasu won the Battle of Sekigahara, 1600. Became shogun the Tokugawa Shogunate, 1603 to 1868. Tokugawa Ieyasu established the longest and most stable shogunate, ruling from Edo, modern Tokyo. But there was a problem. Christianity, Portuguese, and Spanish missionaries had converted hundreds of thousands of Japanese to Christianity. The shogunate saw this as a threat to their authority and Japanese culture. Sakoku, the closed country, 1639 to 1853. The Tokugawa shogunate made a radical decision. Close Japan to the world. They expelled all foreigners, and Christians, were tortured and executed, and prohibited Japanese from leaving the country under penalty of death. Only a tiny Dutch trading post in Nagasaki was allowed limited contact. For over 200 years, Japan was completely isolated. No one in, no one out. Forced opening the Black Ships on July 8, 1853. 4 American warships appeared in Tokyo Bay. They were commanded by Commodore Matthew Perry, and they had a message from the U.S. President. Open your ports to trade, or else. The Black Ships. The Japanese called them Kurofun Black Ships. They were steam-powered ironclads with modern cannons. Japan had nothing to match them. Perry delivered an ultimatum and left, promising to return for an answer. The shogunate panicked. They knew they couldn't win a war against Western powers. Treaty of Kanagawa, 1854. When Perry returned in 1854, Japan signed a treaty opening 2 ports to American ships. Soon, Britain, Russia, France, and the Netherlands forced similar treaties. These were unequal treaties. Japan had to accept foreign trade with no control over tariffs or legal jurisdiction over foreigners in Japan. It was humiliating. Crisis. And response. The treaties exposed the shogunate's weakness. Many Japanese were furious at foreign intrusion. Samurai rallied around the slogan Sono Joy, revere the emperor, expel the barbarians. But the emperor had been powerless for 700 years. That was about to change. Meiji Restoration Terin Sefon Mtion 1868. Samurai from southern domains overthrew the Tokugawa shogunate in the Meiji Restoration. They restored the 15-year-old Emperor Meiji to power. But this wasn't a return to the past. It was Japan's leap into the future. The decision. Japan faced a choice. Resist the West and be colonized like China and India, or adopt Western technology and compete as equals. They chose transformation, and they did it faster than any nation. In history.fuk Ukiyo-hei, rich country, strong military. This became Japan's motto. In just 40 years, Japan went from feudal society to industrial power. The reforms. Government. Adopted a constitution, 1889, created a parliament, but the emperor retained divine status military. Abolished samurai class, created a modern conscript. Army based on European models education. Mandatory education sent students to study abroad industry. Built factories, railroads, telegraph lines legal system. Adopted Western legal codes culture. Encouraged Western dress, architecture, and customs among elites, but they kept Japanese identity. Unlike many colonized nations, Japan modernized on its own terms, preserving core cultural values while adopting Western technology, testing the new power. Japan defeated China in the Sino-Japanese War 1894-1895, gaining Taiwan. Then, shockingly, Japan defeated Russia in the Russo-Japanese War 1904-1905, the first time an Asian power defeated a European power in modern warfare. The world took notice. Japan had arrived as a modern nation. Imperial Japan and World War II success went to Japan's head. Military leaders gained power, promoting aggressive expansion and extreme nationalism. The empire grows. 1910. Annexed Korea, brutal colonization. 1931. Invaded Manchuria. Northeastern China. 1937. Invaded China. Proper beginning the Second Sino-Japanese War, committed atrocities, including the Nanjing Massacre. World War II. Japan allied with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, bringing America into World War II. Initially, Japan conquered quickly Philippines, Singapore, Burma, Indonesia, Pacific Islands. But Japan couldn't sustain a long war against America's industrial might. Turning point. After the Battle of Midway, 1942, Japan was on the defensive. American forces island-hopped toward Japan, facing fanatical resistance, kamikaze suicide attacks, soldiers fighting to the death. The atomic bombs. By 1945, Japan was beaten but refused to surrender. In August 1945, America dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima, August 6th, and Nagasaki, August 9th. The only use of nuclear weapons in war, combined with Soviet invasion of Manchuria. Japan finally surrendered on August 15, 1945. The cost, $3 million. Japanese dead cities destroyed by firebombing and atomic weapons economy. Devastated empire, lost nation occupied for the first time in history. Japan hit absolute rock bottom. What came next was miraculous. The economic Meiji in 1945. Japan was in ruins. By 1964, Tokyo hosted the Olympics, showcasing a rebuilt, modern nation. By the 1980s, Japan was the world's second-largest economy. This was the Japanese economic miracle. American occupation, 1945 to 1952. General Douglas MacArthur oversaw Japan's occupation. Instead of punishing Japan, America helped rebuild. The reforms. New Constitution, 1947. Renounced war, limited military. To self-defense only. Emperor Hirohito remained but renounced divinity. Became symbolic figurehead. Democracy. Established free elections. Civil rights, women's suffrage. Land reform. Broke up large estates. Created a class of small farmers. Education reformed. Emphasis on math and science. War criminals tried, though the emperor was exempt. Why rebuild Japan? The Cold War. With Communist China and the Soviet Union nearby, America wanted Japan as a democratic, capitalist ally in Asia. The economic strategy. Japan focused on manufacturing, cars, electronics, machinery, quality control. Perfected mass production with minimal defects. Export-oriented growth. Sold to the world, copying and improving. Studied American products, made them better and cheaper. Work culture. Employees dedicated lifetimes to companies. Government business cooperation. Government-guided economic development. The results, 1960s. Made in Japan. Went from junk to quality. 1970s. Japanese cars. Toyota, Honda, Nissan dominated globally. 1980s. Sony, Panasonic, Toshiba led electronics. Japanese cuisine went global. Martial arts movies influenced Hollywood. By 1968, Japan had the world's second-largest economy held until China overtook it in 2010. Modern Japan, challenges and Teolaida. Japan is the world's third-largest economy and a technological leader, but it faces challenges. Strengths: technology, robotics, electronics, automotive innovation infrastructure, bullet trains, efficient city safety, one of the world's safest countries healthcare, highest life expectancy globally culture, global influence. Through anime, manga, video games, cuisine education, high literacy, strong STEM performance challenges. 1. Aging population. Japan has the world's oldest society. Over 28% are over 65. Birth rates are low. Population is shrinking. Who will work? Who will care for the elderly? 2. Economic stagnation. After booming in the 1980s, Japan's economy has stagnated since the 1990s, the lost decades. Growth is slow, deflation persists, innovation has slowed. 3. Work culture. Notorious overwork culture, karoshi, death from overwork, is a real phenomenon. Work-life balance is poor. 4. Immigration resistance. Japan remains ethnically homogeneous and resistant to immigration, even though it needs workers. 5. Gender inequality. Despite being advanced, Japan lags in gender equality, few women in leadership. Pressure to leave careers after marriage. Cultural paradoxes. Modern Japan blends contradictions. Ancient temples next to neon skyscrapers, traditional tea ceremonies, and cutting-edge technology, politeness, and conformity alongside creative subcultures, historical pacifism, but increasing military concerns about China and North Korea, global influence. Despite challenges, Japan's cultural soft power is enormous. Pokemon, Studio Ghibli, sushi, ramen, karaoke, cosplay. Japanese culture shapes global entertainment. Conclusion: from isolated island nation to global power. From samurai and shoguns to salarymen and silicon. From devastating defeat to economic miracle. From ancient traditions to anime culture. Japan's history is one of adaptation and resilience. They borrowed from China, then closed off completely. Forced open, they modernized faster than anyone. Destroyed in war, they rebuilt stronger. Economically stagnant, they remain culturally influential. Today, Japan stands at a crossroads: aging population, economic challenges, changing world order. But if history teaches anything, it's that Japan adapts and survives. From 2,000 years of history to today's cutting-edge society, Japan remains one of the world's most fascinating civilizations. Traditional yet futuristic, isolated yet globally connected, ancient yet modern. This was the complete history of Japan, 2,000 years. 15 minutes. One incredible journey. Final shot. Modern Tokyo skyline at night with Mount Fuji in the background, then fade to Japanese flag. What aspect of Japanese history surprised you most? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey through Japan, please like and subscribe for more history content. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you for watching.